Wrong button. Thank you, Dr. Tudrin. So this is a joint public hearing between the town and the Board of Education. I've laid out my budget proposal for fiscal year 23. Dr. Tudrin has put his vision forward for fiscal 23. Neither the boards of Selectmen nor Education have seen or worked on those yet. Charter requires now that we open up for public comments before either board can get to work on those. So if there's anybody on the call who would like to offer comment, this is your opportunity. Please unmute yourself, give your name and your address, as well as which budget your comments are reflective of. So is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment?
Jason, Noreen
Yes, ma'am.
Farmer, Noreen Farmer, 247 South Water Street. I just want to thank you both for very good presentations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noreen.
Is there any further comment? Seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn the town side of the public hearing from a member of the Board of Selectmen.
Make a motion to adjourn the town side of the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Selectman
Marie,
Musk. Oh, go ahead, Marie.
Marie D'Souza will second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn the public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 The town side is adjourned at 7:51. Chairman Reichley.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn the BOE budget presentation public hearing?
I'll make that motion, Randy. Noreen.
Thank you, Noreen. A second.
I'll second. This is Kate.
Thank you, Kate. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 That's everyone. Opposed? Okay, we are now adjourned at 7:51. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I'm now going to reconvene the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. We are reconvening at 7:51 p.m. Our next item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Selectman Nordell, would you like to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All members of the Board of Selectmen are present. I do have one added agenda item. I'd like to add agenda item 6D, which is just a proclamation commemorating Black History Month.
Make a motion, we added agenda item 6B, proclamation for Black History Month.
D is in David. Thank you for the motion. Is there a second?
Marie D'Souza, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of meeting minutes. Peg did her standard great job on these.
Marie D'Souza will make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of January 20th, 2022, regular meeting as presented.
Is there a second?
Selectman Musk will second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion or corrections?
Jason, on page 16, Marie D'Souza, there seems to be a blank, and I haven't had a chance to review the tape, but does anybody know what should be in there on the second paragraph? It says Representative Foster question if the town has considered questions, something grant.
Yeah, that was something that I'm sure was difficult to pick up in the recording. Representative
Yeah.
Foster made that. And as accurately reflected in the minutes. Neither Alan nor I were familiar with it, so I have not circled back with her on what that was.
Okay, I just wanted to just question that.
I will flag that though.
And Jen, on page 25, the minute, the report that Sarah Muska submitted, her last name is spelled wrong. The A got dropped somehow. Sorry, Sarah, I just had to do that.
Thank you.
That's all I got. Nice job, Peg.
Any other
I just have a-
corrections?
No correction, Jay, but just a question. Where should we be sending our reports to? Because I did a report last month and Peg didn't get it because I sent it to her Gmail account. Is her town account still open for us to forward our reports to?
It is not.
It's not.
She has a private email address. If she wants, she can put it in the chat.
Okay,
Either that or if you send it to me, I'll get it to her.
okay, I can do that.
The motion in front of us is on acceptance of the minutes, I believe without correction. All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Communications, there's a couple tonight. So first of all, there is, I put together a formal letter to our legislative delegation based on the comments that were made at the meeting with them last time we got together. I think I touched on the points that were salient to East Windsor that everybody raised. I just wanted you guys to see what the actual communications was. The next one is the vegetation management plan submitted by the Connecticut Electric Railway Association, colloquially the Trolley Museum. So they have an obligation under statute. Anybody who has a right of way on a railroad has to report to us what their vegetation management plan is. The Connecticut, or the Trolley Museum gave us theirs since the publication of the agenda, but before tonight's meeting, I actually got the other one in town, which is for the rail line that goes through the Windsorville section of town. So so that'll be in the packet next. This is an annual reporting of what the vegetation. Oops, I put stuff together. Next, so I had put in place when our COVID numbers were going crazy again, I put in place a universal mask mandated in January, including in the packet is just a letter that rescinds that mandate, so that now it's left to the employers or the business's discretion. You'll note that I am still requiring it for the time being in town-owned or operated facilities. The reason for that is, as an employer, I have some high-risk employees, and I want to make sure that we're taking whatever measures we can to keep town employees safe while the numbers are still elevated. The positivity rate in Connecticut is down to, I think I saw 6.7% today, but the positivity rate in East Windsor is still 12%. So while the numbers were on their way up, I thought it prudent to put the mandate in place. I thought it prudent because they were coming down so quickly to remove it. But as an employer, I'm taking steps to make sure our employees are protected. And then there's the proclamation for Black History Month, which was not in the packet, so I'll read it. Whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development. Whereas Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1926 of Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And whereas the Black History Month 2022 theme is Black Health and Wellness, acknowledges the legacy of Black scholars and medical practitioners in medicine, including doulas, midwives, naturopaths, healers, and other healthcare professionals. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls out attention to the continued health and wellness inequalities the African American communities have experienced, especially as demonstrated by the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the town of East Windsor continues to work toward becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential contributions to our community, the state, the country, and the world. Now, therefore, in recognition of African Americans past and present in our community, I, Jason E. Bauza, First Selectman of the town of East Windsor, do hereby proclaim February 22nd or February 2022 to be Black History Month. I encourage all citizens to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous. Okay. Now I believe we are on to reappointments. The first is reappointment of Claire Batstubner, who is currently the chairman of the Elderly Commission. Can I have a motion?
Selectman Muska will move to reappoint Claire Babstubner as a regular member to the Elderly Commission for a term expiring December 31st, 2023.
Is there a second?
Marie D'Souza will second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Selectman Baker voting in the affirmative. Selectman Nordell voting in the affirmative. Peg, can you see the video?
Yes, I can, and that helps me.
All right. If people vote while muted, I'll call them off if that's helpful.
Thank you.
New appointments. We have two new appointments. Both are Ruth Ann Lansner. One is an appointment to the Elderly Commission for a regular member for a term expiring December 31st, 2022. And the other one has a typo in it. The term should be October 1st, 2025, not December 31st, 2022. That's to the Park and Recreation Commission. So the term should be for elderly 12/31/22, and for Park and Rec, it should be 10/1/25. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Ruth Ann Lasner to the Elderly Commission as a regular member for a term expiring December 31st, 2022.
Is there a second?
Selectman Muska will second.
Any discussion? Sarah?
I just wanted to say that I'm think Mrs. Lansner will be a great addition. It's great to see her getting appointed to town commissions. She's been active and volunteering in numerous capacities, but her and her husband are a great asset to the community. So I'm glad to see her getting involved in this way.
I agree. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carried unanimously. And for a term for Ruth Ann Lansner to the Parks and Recreation Commission for a term ending October 1st, 2025.
Selectman Muska will move to appoint Ruth Ann Lansner to the Parks and Recreation Commission as a regular member for a term expiring October 1st, 2025.
Selectman Nordell will second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? All
Yeah,
in favor? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Marie.
I just want to thank Sarah for making her comments because she's absolutely right. Both Tom and Ruth have been quite active since they moved to town a few years back. And I'm honored that everyone agrees that they're going to be a good addition to the town. So thank you, Sarah, for that.
On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Now we're going to move on to agenda item 9A, the Department Document Scanning Project. So I mentioned in my presentation, one of the things that happened since the budget has been adopted is that we did an added appropriation to pay down outstanding debt. What that did is it paid off lease purchases. So we have $94,000 that's in the budget that was budgeted for an expenditure that's already been completed. We also had projects that were submitted to the capital improvement through the capital improvement process that are needed projects throughout the town and town departments. One of those is a digitization of planning documents. So rather than include that in CIP, the thought that Amy O'Toole and I had was that if we have the money already available, we should simply ask the Board of Finance to do a transfer from the lease purchase line to a CNR line in the planning department so that they can do that digitization process now. The justification is in the memo prepared by our planning consultants, and then the actual quote is included behind that. Clear? Questions or comments on that?
Yeah, it's clear, and I think it's a pretty important project. And I think, besides the obvious space issues, having a digital copy of everything is like the ultimate safety against, fire or water damage or any of the other things that can happen. Or just plain old losing the stuff because it got put somewhere. So I think this is something that we should definitely prioritize.
Is that a motion to approve or a motion to recommend to the Board of Finance?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, make a motion to approve the request for funds to be transferred from the, which line was it?
Lease purchases.
From the leach purchases line to a CNR line for the purpose of digitizing all the planning office documents.
Is there a second?
Is that the amount of $45,000?
Yes.
I just wanted, if you make a friendly motion to include that in the motion.
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't have it in front of me and I thought it was 49. So
problem.
I brought that up. So yeah, I would accept that, that addition.
All
to
right,
the-
thank you.
So Marie, are you seconding that?
I can do that. Second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Before we move off this topic, I also need authorization to sign the contract with Rico.
Make a motion to authorize the first selectman to sign the contract with Rico for digital equipment in the amount of $45,000.
Is there a second?
Marie D'Souza will second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Where are we now? Okay. So now we're on to the documentation for the JAG grants. I believe that's Judge Advocate General, but I'm not 100% sure the acronym is. At any rate, what this grant would do, it provides $42,000 for the acquisition of a new police cruiser. The documentation is included. There's also an insurances and certifications form that needs to be returned. So if we want to go ahead and accept this, I need a motion to accept the grant and then authorization to sign the relevant documentation.
Selectman Nordell
Go ahead,
Move-
Charlie.
will move to accept the grant from of the JAG local VCP grant program and for the first selectman to sign the agreement.
Is there a second?
Marie D'Souza will second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Okay, the next item is just a, so what was the date on this? Back in December, we had changed our funding allocation for how we were going to fund the Parks Master Plan as and some associated parks equipment. When we did the motion, all we needed to move from our CNR allocation for LoSiP to cover our CNR allocation to cover the master plan was the $35,000 cost for the master plan. We didn't need to commit the whole $70,000 to something that wasn't going to cost more than 35. So the minutes shown also said that we were referring it to the Board of Finance, and we did not need to do that. All it is a paper move. So I'm not sure what the correction needs to be, if anything, but I wanted to make you aware that all we're doing is using CNR money for parks to cover the cost of the master plan. We're going to use the LoCIP funds to cover the replacement of park equipment. Is that clear? Okay. Can I have a motion just to affirm that?
Make a motion affirming that our intent in the previous meeting was to spend $35,000 of CNR money for the master plan and the balance of the money out of LoCIP for park equipment.
That is right. Is there a second?
Selectman Nordell will second that.
All in favor? Marie?
I'm confused. The original was to take the master plan money from LoCIP, and now you're taking the money from the
See-
equipment budget?
No,
Is that-
from the CNR for parks. So LoCIP won't cover the cost of the plan. They will cover the cost of the equipment. We had initially earmarked the LoCIP funds for the plan, which they
Okay,
rejected.
got it. Okay,
So because money's fungible, you know, it's your left hand or your right. We're
Yep.
still doing everything we said we were going to do. We're just
yeah, you're
codifying.
just flip-flopping where it's coming from.
Right, we're codifying that the funding is being used according to the funding sources allowable uses.
Okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Okay, next, we have a request from the Diversity Council. I'm gonna pull up the visual, bear with me. Diversity Council has asked what the process would be, or if it would be allowable to fly the Pan-African flag in commemoration of Black History Month. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I can't see anybody now. This is what the flag looks like. So that's the specific request. The overarching request would be the board's appetite for allowing flags other than government flags to be flown on town property. Any thoughts?
So I guess, I'm the liaison to the Diversity Council, as you know, and, I heard the discussion of this at their meeting. Personally, and I was thinking, I just don't know if there's flag etiquette or beyond etiquette for, what are the logistics of that? So that's my only question as far as the should we is if it's allowable and there is a way that we can, accommodate the, not just this flag, but if there was, somebody wanted to fly a different affinity flag for, pick a group. I don't have a problem with that. I think that it's a way to show awareness of, whether it's the Diversity Council and Black History Month, or if it's, women's rights or achievements or LGBTQ or whatever it is. I think that it's, I think it's our job as government to be inclusive. So I guess my only question is, how does that work logistically? What are the rules? Or are there any? And then if not, I guess we just have to make some up.
Well, if it were signage, I know that there is Supreme Court, I think state Supreme Court law that says that you can't regulate the content of the sign. So if you're going to allow it, you got to allow all of it. I'm assuming that same doctrine applies going from signage to flags. I don't know that. It just seems like a natural progression or a natural nexus there to assume. It's, we're the governing body of the town. We can decide what, if anything, we're going to allow flown on town property. Charlie,
So with that said, if we allow one, we have to allow them all?
I believe that's true. I don't know
So,
that. I don't know that to be sure, but I believe that's the case.
so what do we say when someone wants to hang the Confederate flag in front of town hall?
That would be a concern.
Exactly.
Well, and I know and I think we should look into it, but like, I know we say that about, and I remember that case, for signage, but there's states all around the United States that are, saying that you no longer can, fly the Confederate flag on the state property or whatever. I mean, and that's, there's no challenge to that. So I wonder if it is actually different. At the United Nations, we fly like all the flags of the United Nations and not other ones, right? So I don't know if it's, I'm now interested in that, if it's the same thing or not.
I can check with the town attorney. I'm 100% sure I will be talking to him tomorrow.
So, yeah, so I guess that's my, our big thing that we have to answer is, are we getting ourselves in the stew? But it kind of feels like we're not, but then there may be a distinction with the Confederate flag, or, there's no states that, wave the KKK flag, but there are, other affinity flags that are raised in other states and other towns. So feels different than signage to me.
I think it is a policy call, but I'll check with Josh. So our next meeting is not until February 17th. So if we were intent on trying to honor this request, do we want to wait until then, until I have Josh's opinion, or do you guys want to take some sort of action other than that? Sarah?
Seeing as it's Black History Month, I think we should take action prior to that, because February 17th is already pretty late in the month. But I do agree that we should definitely get an opinion from the town attorney. But I do know in other towns, there was a Pan-African flag raised in New Britain, but I believe that's on a town green, or like a veterans green, or on a different area that I don't know. So if there's other options besides town hall, just throwing that out there.
Good, that's a good point. Location might make a difference. So I would agree that if you can get, a definitive answer that, we have control over this, and we can, by policy, decide what we want to do as a board, future boards can, then I think we should just authorize you to make that call. We're good as long as we're not in trouble, and as long as we're, Charlie's concern is covered.
May I make another point or
Yep.
question? So Diversity Council, is a town commissioner board, but would we be also entertaining outside groups who would come to us and say they wanted us to hang a flag, or how would we want to proceed with that? And with the Diversity Council, who would be purchasing the flag? Is it donated? Is it in their budget, or how would that work?
They don't have a budget. They were formed this fiscal year. But there is somebody in the chat who's saying that they would donate their flag.
Okay, thank you.
Narda is a member of the Diversity Council, so I don't know if you want to recognize her and her comments that she has made in the chat.
Narda, do you have something you'd like to add?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what I was thinking is I have a flag that I could donate, so there wouldn't be any cost to anybody. And also, the library is going to have a little table and stuff set up for Black History Month. So maybe the flag could be raised there.
Sure. When are they doing it? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I'm waiting to hear back from a couple people.
Okay, let us know. That sounds like a
Okay.
good solution.
That way it's not at the town hall and,
It's not on town property either.
okay.
That sounds like a reasonable solution. Let me know when you have dates.
Okay. Will do.
Okay, so does that, are we good on this?
Should we make a motion?
Jason,
Yes, ma'am.
I still think you should get with the town attorney, when
I'm
you
going
see him, and ask him what the, rules and regulations are regarding it. I have no problem with the flag. I don't have any problem with any flag as long as it's a flag that, covers them. Well, there's some flags I do have a problem with, but,
Right.
you know, but I don't have a problem with this one. But I have a problem where it's going to be put, if it was to be put at the town hall. I think there should be a separate flagpole for any flag if we make a policy that's going to go up, because the flagpole is there to me. It's for the American flag, state of Connecticut flag, and maybe a POW flag, because those are all inclusive of everybody that lives in this country, and it represents all of them. And I want to keep that because I'd rather have a united country. But I have no problem with the flag. It is Black History Month, putting that up someplace. And then whatever other flags that may come forward. But I think we need a policy do we just do those that are being nationally recognized, such as Black History Month, and not one that is, my husband is Portuguese and they have their days and stuff. I don't believe that should be put out at town hall because it's not a national recognition flag, if you get what I'm trying to say. So that's just my input on it.
And that was my concern, and you put definitely a finer point on it, is the flag installations that we have are, for state and federal flags. And I think, I absolutely think that flying these other flags is great, but it needs to be a different setup of some sort. And that's what I was wondering. I think the library, if they're willing to fly it, is an excellent solution.
Mhm.
I don't know what other, we should look into what others that, would be possible. So I still think we should look at this, have the attorney get an opinion on it. And
I agree.
maybe we should make a motion for that.
You want a formal legal opinion? Or do you want him just to opine?
Just opine, excuse me, opinion, his opinion. Well, I guess it's always a formal legal opinion when he gives his opinion.
Well, no, typically there's a difference in a
Yeah.
$1,000 difference.
Oops.
Like, you're gonna kill my legal budget, man.
Thanks, Jay.
So do you want to make I'm good. I'll do it either way. If you guys want to do something like compelling me to do it, or you just ask me to do it, whatever you want to do, I'll do it.
No, as long as if we don't need a motion and you can get it done, then we're fine.
I pinged him already about adding it to our list of things to discuss.
Thank you.
Okay. Tax refunds.
Selectman Muska will move to approve the tax refunds totaling $8,213.85.
Selectman Nordell will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Selectmen's reports.
Hey, Jay.
Yes, ma'am.
On this report, I have no problem with what's being done, but is there any way to get an explanation as to why such large refunds are being made? And for what purpose? I mean, there's the first one and the third one on here. One is for $3,438 and the other is for $3,485 to the same person.
Mhm.
But I don't know why. I know there's an overpayment, but why is there an overpayment?
I can ask the tax collector for a breakdown. Typically, these have to do with people who buy cars mid-year.
Right, and that's what she had originally told me.
Yeah. And just looking at that looks to me like somebody got a new commercial vehicle, and seeing the recipient, that would be entirely in keeping. But I can ask her for a breakdown, more granular breakdown moving forward.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now Selectmen's reports. So over the last few weeks, town staff and I have met with different companies to determine the feasibility of installing electric charging stations at town facilities. Currently, to our knowledge, there are no electric charging stations within the corporate limits of town. There are currently public and private incentives available to defray the costs of installation. As we have these conversations, if this looks possible and practical, I'll be bringing options to the Board of Selectmen in the future. I joined our legislative delegation, Senator Anwar, Representatives Foster and Hall, for a conversation with the folks at the museums on the Green to talk about their ideas for the long-term sustainability and expansion of the museums. They have an exciting plan and have assembled a team that has a track record of meeting real goals with tangible accomplishments. So I'm excited about some of the work that they're doing. Much of the last few weeks has been spent on finalizing my FY23 budget submission and presentation. I gave that presentation tonight. Again, a couple of the highlights. Assuming no changes to my budget or the superintendent's budget, the average homeowner in East Windsor would pay $112 more in property taxes on their home next year than this year. That's it, $112. The proposals jointly reflect a 0.74 mill rate increase. In my memory, I don't remember a more reasonable starting point being offered by both the town and the school in the same year in a very long time. Largely, the solid starting position that we find ourselves in is the result of grand list growth equal to almost 4.1% over last year, which is before the Board of Assessment Appeals process. And we already know that at least one of those accounts is going to go up. Speaking of the budget process, last month we talked about onboarding the new budget transparency software that would show taxpayers specifically where their tax dollars are being spent. With the approval of this board and the Board of Finance, Amy and I have been working to make that data available for the general public relative to my budget submission tonight. So now taxpayers can go onto the town website. They can see specifically how much of their tax dollars are being spent on each function of town government, and then drill down even deeper to show how much are being spent in each department itself, how much is being spent on supplies, how much is being spent on professional services and wages. And it's a really deep dive, providing voters a clear look into how we're spending their money. So I encourage everybody to check it out and play with it. There's some really interesting stuff in there if you're a numbers nerd like I am. On March 5th, the town will be offering a household hazardous waste collection event at DPW. The collection hours will be from 8 to 1. It's open to town residents, and more information about acceptable products that can be dropped off there can be found on the community calendar on the town's homepage. We are looking for volunteer drivers to help deliver part of our Meals on Wheels team. This commitment can be as little as 1 to 2 hours a week, and we reimburse for mileage. If you're interested, please contact the East Windsor Senior Center. The East Windsor Lions Club is collecting donations for victims of the recent Kentucky tornadoes. Donations can be made at the East Windsor Town Hall during normal business hours or 24/7 in the lobby of the police station. Collections will be accepted until February 15th. The town is now accepting applications for the state homeowners program for the elderly and totally disabled. Eligible applicants can apply in the assessor's office between now and May 13th. Applicants need to be over the age of 65 or totally disabled or both. Some income restrictions will apply. That's my report for this week. Marie, what do you have?
The only thing I have is the January 26th Water Pollution Control Authority meeting that I'm the liaison for was canceled, and I've had nothing else because I had no other liaison meetings this month. So that's all I got.
Sarah,
Okay, on January 21st, I attended the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. Recreation and Community Services Director Melissa Maltesi reported that she received 20 completed surveys back from the community discussion on the park master plan that was held at Town Hall on November 10th of last year. The second public participation forum will take place in conjunction with the East Windsor PTO and Booster Club on Wednesday, February 9th at 6 o'clock via Zoom, and I'll post the link. The goal of this meeting is to seek input from parents and children regarding the vision for the future of parks and recreation services, programs, facilities, and recreation in town. Tim Mislook introduced a proposed Eagle Scout project to the commission. His proposed project would be to install bench shelters over the current benches at the Abbey Road soccer field, blocking the sun and the rain for players and adding prestige to the field. The proposed cost would be $5,000 to about $6,000, and Tim has approached the East Windsor Soccer Club to assist with funding and hopes to host fundraisers if the commission decides to move forward with the project. The commission voted unanimously to stay status quo and maintain the same park fee structure for this upcoming season. Mrs. Maltesi and her staff are working on redesigning the season pass process so patrons will be able to pay using their credit card through the office, as most people do not carry cash. The annual Limerick contest is coming up. This year's theme is animals, and the Parks and Recreation Department is excited to once again team up with the Broadbrook Angling Club for the Fishing Derby, which will be held on May 7th this year. On February 2nd, the Economic Development Commission met. The commission is promoting commercial real estate properties in town on their Facebook page. They currently have 2 properties listed and hope to continue to push more as they develop relationships with area real estate agents. Members of the commission are considering modeling an event after the Board of Selectmen general meeting that was held back in December, which was the meet and greet between town boards and staff. The purpose of this event would be to encourage networking between the town and area businesses and might include a keynote speaker. Tentative dates are in April, and the commission will revisit this idea at their next meeting to decide if they will proceed forward. The commission discussed hosting a summertime shop visit East Windsor campaign, which would entice people to shop here in town. One area was promoting a town-wide sidewalk sale for businesses. Discussion is still ongoing between Commissioner Gil Hayes and the Greater Hartford Transit Authority to try to provide some sort of busing to Broadbrook residents. It was mentioned that there was a community discussion that was held at Mill Pond Village a few years ago, organized by Melissa Maltesi, trying to obtain that same goal. Commissioner Brian Turley agreed to reach out to Mrs. Maltesi to try to obtain some information to see how that meeting went and to determine how the commission should proceed forward. And that's all I have.
Charlie.
Okay, I only have one. The Board of Education I attended on January 26th via Zoom. On that night, they presented the Crystal Apple Award recipients, and they also did the Outstanding Student Awards were also recognized that night. Congratulations to all of them for their accomplishments. Superintendent Dr. Tudrin reported that the business office reconstruction is well underway with the writing of job descriptions and establishing positions needed to serve the East Windsor school system. A consultant, Sherry Danello, has been helping assist in this matter. This is a ground up task because so much of this was previously handled by an outside contracted company. Dr. Tudrin also submitted his goals and objectives which needed to be accepted by the board in order for them to complete his evaluation, which was going to be held in executive session later that evening. Under the curriculum report, Daryl Roulard reported on the iReady diagnostic results. Overall, students who originally tested as being behind are making good strides at catching up to meeting grade level results. The original testing was done early in the year, and this is the result of testing that was done about midterm. So they're in the process of making good comebacks there. The board voted to approve the following new job descriptions: Director of Business and Finance, Accounts Payable, Payroll Associate, and Human Resource Director. They also approved the following course proposals: Advanced Topics in Algebra, Encore English, Living History of Gender Studies, and Math, Life/Investing. The board also acknowledged a letter of thanks to Big Y for making a donation of hand sanitizer to the school system. And that's it.
Al,
All right, batting cleanup. So at Planning Zoning had a fairly light meeting this past meeting. They are in the process of considering a site plan modification at Walmart for a little addition basically off the back. They closed the cannabis public hearing and adopted the regulations. I think I've reported on that previously. And they accepted a new application for another small business that they'll be dealing with at their next meeting. They are now, in case people haven't heard, they've been specified as the Aquifer Protection Agency as well. And so they have to have meetings on that per statute. So they've started having quarterly meetings that run right after their regularly scheduled planning and zoning meetings. So the Aquifer Protection Agency is tasked with obviously now doing a little bit higher regulation for any businesses that are located within the aquifer protection area. They presented a map and that is online if you want to take a look at it, but it, primarily it's, protecting kind of, the watershed for the Scannick logically. It's mostly on the Broadbrook side of town. It doesn't really affect most of the businesses in Warehouse Point. There were 3 businesses in Broadbrook that were grandfathered in, that don't have to, that can't be denied, but they do have to register and report on a periodic basis. So there's probably a couple dozen business types that fall under the regulated activity. So it's another level that will have to be considered for site plans that are in this area for any businesses that want to locate in this area. Fortunately for the town, most of this area is residential. So and this is not affecting residential households unless they start a business on their property that is one of the regulated businesses. So there's that. There's more information. A complete document is in the planning and zoning folder for that meeting last week, and it's also I'm sure located elsewhere on the website. But then my next meeting, the wetlands meeting, was canceled this month for lack of applications. Then on Monday, I had actually 3 meetings scheduled at 7 o'clock on Monday, and one was the DTC, one was Broadbrook Fire Department Commission meeting, and one was the Diversity Council. So I chose to attend the Diversity Council this time, and you heard from them earlier today. They are gearing up to do some events and basically awareness for Black History Month. So the flag, the Pan-African flag is a part of that, but they're also got a bunch of other things cooking that they will be working on, and I'm sure we'll be hearing more about. That's all I have for you today.
now we're going to go on to public participation. Are there any comments from members of the public? If
Hi,
so, please.
Ruth Ann Lansner, 27 Laurel Circle. I
Ruth
just
Ann.
wanted to thank everybody for the kind words, and I'm really looking forward to working on both of these commissions. And since Tom and I moved here, I think it's almost 5 years ago now, we have felt nothing but part of the community, and we've been made part of the community, and it's just a great place to be.
We're happy to have you both.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Other comments for the board?
Nicole D'Souza. Hi, everybody. Jason, I just wanted to share, I love that you do your Facebook updates, and you're very, very, I think everyone knows that you are there to answer questions. Just thinking maybe at the bottom when you guys do your statements to put your best way to contact you, because I think people tend to think that when you put something on Facebook, that means that that's how you should be responding. So just thinking that may help
Good
in the
idea.
future.
Yeah, so the issues, well, you're right. That is a good suggestion, and we'll take to heart. Thank you. Other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, the Board of Selectmen will have an executive session. Peg, there may be a vote. I need to talk it through with the selectmen first. So I'll have the meeting up as quickly as I can tomorrow. It'll just be the 5 of us, so I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Selectman Nordell will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are in executive session at 8:40 p.m. Thank you, folks.
You got it.
It is 9:49. We're out of executive session. Is there any further business to come before the board?
Yes, Selectman Muska, I authorize the first selectman to enter into an agreement with the town of South Windsor for building inspection services for an amount not to exceed $50 per hour.
Is there a
Second.
second? Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is there any further business to come before the board?
I move we adjourn at 9:50 p.m.
Selectman Nordell will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion is unanimous. You're adjourned at 9:50 p.m.